Travel back 200,000 years to a night much like this one. A group of early humans sits around a dying fire, their faces lit by embers, their breath visible in the cold air. One of them opens their mouth and makes a sound, not a grunt, not a cry, but something new, a sound shaped by intention, a sound that carries meaning. In that moment, something extraordinary begins, the slow invention of language, the most powerful technology our species would ever create. Tonight, let these soothing facts about the evolution of human speech carry you gently toward deep sleep, as we trace the quiet miracle of how silence became voice. Tonight, we explore the science of linguistics in this sleep documentary for curious minds. From the first guttural sounds uttered by our ancestors to the 7,000 languages spoken across the world today, this is the story of how humans learned to transform breath into meaning and meaning into connection. The sounds you make when you speak are the result of millions of years of evolution, of bones shifting, brains expanding, and cultures forming around the fire. This is sleepy science, where facts become a lullaby and knowledge becomes rest. Welcome to Drowsy Discovery, your sleepy science channel for peaceful nights. Over the next 2 hours, over 100 gentle facts about language and the evolution of speech will guide you through the remarkable journey from silence to song. There is nothing to memorize, nothing to remember. Just listen and let your mind drift into deep sleep. Have you ever wondered why babies babble before they speak, or why some languages click while others sing? You are not alone. If this documentary for sleep brings you peace, consider subscribing to join our community of curious minds, and perhaps share these facts to fall asleep to with someone who needs a calm night. Now take a slow breath and let your shoulders ease. Feel the weight of your body sinking softly into stillness, as though you were sitting by that ancient fire, listening to the first words ever spoken. Language has been with us for countless generations. It will wait patiently for you to fall asleep in its eternal rhythm. Let us begin. Humans are the only species with a vocal tract capable of producing the full range of speech sounds. Deep within your throat lies an architecture found nowhere else in the animal kingdom, a vocal tract shaped by millions of years into an instrument of remarkable precision. The human larynx sits distinctly lower than in any other primate, creating a resonating chamber that allows us to produce the rich vowels and consonants of speech. Our tongues are thick and muscular, capable of exquisite control to shape airflow into distinct sounds. The soft palate rises and falls to direct breath through nose or mouth, adding another layer of articulation. Chimpanzees possess vocal tracts that physically cannot produce many sounds we make effortlessly. This is not a matter of intelligence, but of anatomy, of bones and muscles arranged to unlock possibilities. Every word you speak emerges from this uniquely human instrument, a gift of evolution. The position of the human larynx dropped over millions of years to enable complex speech. In the throats of our earliest ancestors, the larynx sat high, much like it does in modern apes, allowing them to breathe and swallow simultaneously but limiting the sounds they could produce. Over millions of years, as our ancestors walked upright and their skulls changed shape, the larynx began a slow and gentle descent, a quiet journey measured in countless generations. This descent created a longer pharynx, a resonating chamber capable of producing the rich vowel sounds that characterize human speech. The trade-off was significant, for humans became the only mammals that cannot breathe and swallow at the same time without risking choking. We accepted this vulnerability in exchange for voice, trading safety for the ability to speak. This profound compromise shaped history, for speech allowed our ancestors to plan, to teach, to dream. The hyoid bone is the only bone in the human body that does not connect to any other bone, and it is essential for speech. Floating freely in your throat, suspended by muscles and ligaments like a small horseshoe, the hyoid sits just above your larynx, supporting your tongue and anchoring the muscles that allow you to speak and swallow. It is a curious anatomical oddity, held in place entirely by soft tissue. When paleontologists discover a fossilized hyoid, they study its shape carefully, for its structure can reveal whether an ancient species possessed the foundations for speech. The human hyoid differs from that of other primates, positioned to support the precise tongue movements required for language. Every time you form a word, this small floating bone plays its part, anchoring the muscular orchestra that transforms breath into meaning. It is a quiet player in the symphony of speech, working silently in the darkness of your throat. Neanderthals likely had the physical ability to speak, though the complexity of their language remains unknown. For decades, scientists debated whether our ancient cousins possessed the gift of speech, and evidence suggests they very likely did. Fossilized hyoid bones from Neanderthal remains show a shape similar to our own, and their ear structures were tuned to frequencies useful for understanding speech. They possess the same variant of the FOXP2 gene associated with language in modern humans. Neanderthals lived in complex social groups, created tools, buried their dead, and may have produced art, all behaviors hinting at sophisticated communication. Yet what their speech sounded like, what stories they told around their fires, remains forever beyond our reach. The sounds they made vanished into the air hundreds of thousands of years ago, leaving only bones and silence. They may have sung and whispered just as we do. The FOXP2 gene, sometimes called the language gene, is found in all humans and affects speech and language ability. Written into your DNA is a gene that plays a crucial role in your ability to speak, a stretch of genetic instructions that helps wire the brain for language and coordinates the muscle movements required for fluent speech. The FOXP2 gene was discovered when researchers studied a British family in which multiple members struggled with severe speech difficulties, all sharing a mutation in this single gene. While it would be an oversimplification to call FOXP2 the language gene, for no single gene could produce something as complex as speech, it appears to be a vital piece of the puzzle. The gene is ancient, found in many animals from birds to mice, but the human version differs by just a few molecular changes from that of chimpanzees. Within you, this gene is at work in the cells of your brain, part of the deep genetic heritage that makes your voice possible. And from the ancient bones that shaped our voices, we now turn to the engine of speech itself, the human brain. The left hemisphere of the brain controls language in approximately 95% of right-handed people. Inside your skull, the two hemispheres divide many tasks between them, and for the vast majority of people, the left hemisphere holds the keys to language, processing words, grammar, and sounds with quiet efficiency. This lateralization was first suspected in the 19th century when physicians noticed that damage to the left side often caused patients to lose their ability to speak, while damage to the right side rarely produced the same effect. In right-handed individuals, this dominance is especially pronounced, though many left-handed people show the same pattern. The right hemisphere is not silent, for it contributes to understanding tone, emotion, and the music of speech, the cues that tell you whether someone is happy or sad. The heavy lifting happens predominantly in the left half, a division of labor that speaks to the efficiency of neural organization. Broca's area, discovered in the 1860s, is essential for producing speech. In the left frontal lobe, just above your left eye, lies a small region named after the French physician Paul Broca. In 1861, Broca examined a patient who had lost nearly all ability to speak, able to utter only a single syllable, yet retaining the ability to understand language perfectly. After the patient's death, Broca discovered damage to a specific region and proposed that this area was essential for speech production. We now know that Broca's area coordinates the complex movements required to translate thoughts into spoken words, orchestrating lips, tongue, jaw, and vocal cords in precisely timed patterns. Damage produces Broca's aphasia, in which patients struggle to speak fluently, producing halting speech while comprehension remains intact. This neural tissue holds the code for converting silent thought into voiced communication. Wernicke's area allows humans to understand language and give meaning to words. While Broca's area helps you produce speech, another region allows you to understand it, to hear sounds and extract meaning from the patterns. Wernicke's area sits further back in the brain, near the junction where temporal and parietal lobes meet, identified by the German physician Karl Wernicke in 1874. Patients with damage to this region can speak fluently, producing grammatically correct sentences, yet their words often make little sense and they struggle to comprehend what others say. The condition is strange, for the music of language remains while meaning evaporates. Wernicke's area serves as a bridge between sounds and their stored meanings, connecting auditory input to the networks of memory that give words their power. Right now, your Wernicke's area is translating vibrations in the air into thoughts in your mind. Damage to different parts of the brain produces different types of language loss, known as aphasia. The brain's language network is so precisely organized that damage to different regions produces distinctly different patterns of impairment. Aphasia, from the Greek meaning speechlessness, is not a single condition but a family of disorders, each reflecting damage to particular parts of language circuitry. Some patients lose the ability to speak while retaining comprehension, others speak fluently but without meaning, and still others struggle to repeat words or retrieve the names of objects. There are patients who can sing words they cannot speak, and others who can write what they cannot say aloud. These patterns reveal that language is not stored in a single location, but distributed across networks that work in harmony. The study of aphasia has illuminated the hidden architecture of the mind, showing how conversation depends on intricate machinery beneath the surface. The arcuate fasciculus is a bundle of nerve fibers that connects Broca's and Wernicke's areas, allowing fluent speech. Deep within the white matter of your brain, a highway of nerve fibers curves in an arc from back to front, connecting the region that understands language to the region that produces it. The arcuate fasciculus allows information to flow between Wernicke's area and Broca's area, enabling the seamless translation of comprehension into speech. When you hear a word and repeat it, this pathway carries the signal from regions that decode sound to regions that coordinate your mouth and tongue. Damage produces conduction aphasia, in which patients can understand speech and speak fluently, yet struggle to repeat words they have just heard, as though the bridge between hearing and speaking has been severed. This pathway reveals that language is a product of connections, of white matter highways linking distant neural territories into a unified system. Babies can distinguish between all the sounds of all the world's languages until about 10 months of age. Every infant arrives in the world as a citizen of all languages, their ears tuned to hear distinctions that adults have long since lost. In the first months of life, a baby can perceive the subtle difference between sounds used in Japanese, the clicks of kosa, the tones of Mandarin, and the rolled consonants of Spanish, regardless of which language their parents speak. This remarkable ability begins to narrow around the age of 10 months as the brain starts to specialize, tuning itself to the sounds that matter in the language heard most often. The sounds that are not reinforced begin to fade from perception, pruned away by a brain seeking efficiency. By their first birthday, most children have lost the ability to distinguish many sounds they could once hear clearly. The linguistic world narrows, but in that narrowing, fluency begins to grow. Infants begin babbling around 6 months old, practicing the sounds of their native language. Around the middle of the first year of life, something magical begins to happen in the throat of every healthy infant. The random vocalizations of the newborn give way to babbling, repetitive strings of consonants and vowels that sound almost like language but carry no meaning yet. This babbling is not random noise but purposeful practice, a rehearsal of the sounds the baby has been hearing since before birth. Deaf infants babble with their hands if exposed to sign language, showing that this stage is about mastering the building blocks of communication in whatever form it takes. As the months pass, babbling becomes more complex, more melodic, more closely resembling the rhythms and patterns of the language spoken around the child. It is the voice learning to speak before the mind knows the words, the body preparing for the gift of language. And as we consider how language awakens in the youngest minds, we turn now to the sounds themselves, the building blocks of every word ever spoken. The International Phonetic Alphabet contains over 170 symbols representing the sounds of human speech. Linguists needed a way to write down any sound that any human language could produce, and so they created the International Phonetic Alphabet, a system where each character represents exactly one sound. Unlike ordinary writing, the IPA provides precision, allowing scholars to transcribe clicking sounds, pharyngeal consonants, and retroflex sounds with equal clarity. With over 170 basic symbols and diacritical marks to indicate subtle variations, the IPA can capture every phonetic nuance that human vocal tracts produce. This alphabet serves as a universal key to pronunciation, used by linguists, actors, singers, and speech therapists around the world. It reveals just how rich and varied the palette of human sound truly is, a vast catalog of sonic possibilities waiting to be explored. The click consonants found in some African languages are among the rarest and most complex sounds in human speech. In the southern regions of Africa, several languages make use of sounds that most speakers cannot produce without careful practice, consonants created by clicking the tongue against different parts of the mouth. These click sounds, found in languages like Xhosa and Zulu, are made by creating a pocket of air in the mouth and releasing it with a sharp, distinctive pop. There are clicks made with the tongue against teeth, clicks on the roof of the mouth, and clicks made on the side of the tongue, each with its own character. To speakers of these languages, clicks are ordinary consonants, as natural as any other sound. To outsiders, they can seem almost impossible, a reminder that human speech extends far beyond what any single language suggests. These ancient sounds may represent some of the oldest features of human language. Vowels are produced with an open vocal tract, while consonants involve some restriction of airflow. The sounds of human speech fall into two great families, and the distinction between them lies in what the mouth does as air passes through. When you produce a vowel, your vocal tract remains relatively open, and the sound emerges smoothly, shaped by the position of your tongue and the roundness of your lips, but never fully blocked. Consonants, by contrast, are made by interrupting or restricting the airflow in some way, whether by pressing the tongue against the roof of the mouth, closing the lips, or narrowing the space between the teeth. This fundamental difference gives vowels their singing quality and consonants their percussive edges. Together, they create the rhythmic texture of speech, an alternation of open tones and brief interruptions that the ear finds pleasing and the brain finds informative. Every word is a dance between openness and closure. And as you rest with these thoughts about the sounds we make, there is no need to hold on to any of them. Let them drift through you like a soft murmur, like gentle facts to fall asleep to. Take a breath if you wish, and let your body settle a little deeper into this sleep science journey. Tonal languages use pitch to distinguish word meanings, affecting over half the world's languages. In many of the world's languages, the meaning of a word depends not only on the consonants and vowels used, but also on the pitch at which it is spoken. Tonal languages, as linguists call them, use musical contours to distinguish between words that would otherwise sound identical. A syllable spoken with a rising tone might mean one thing, while the same syllable with a falling tone means something entirely different. This system is found across much of Asia, Africa, and the Americas, and it affects more than half of all languages spoken today. For speakers of non-tonal languages, this can seem confusing, but for native speakers, tones are as natural and essential as any other feature of pronunciation. The ear learns to hear the music within words, extracting meaning from melody as easily as from sound. Language becomes a kind of song. Mandarin Chinese has 4 main tones, and the same syllable can have completely different meanings depending on pitch. In Mandarin Chinese, the syllable ma can mean mother, hemp, horse, or scold, depending entirely on the tone with which it is pronounced. The first tone is high and level, the second rises like a question, the third dips and then rises, and the fourth falls sharply like a command. These 4 tones, along with a neutral tone used in certain contexts, multiply the meaning-carrying capacity of each syllable, allowing a language with relatively few syllable types to express an enormous vocabulary. For learners of Mandarin, mastering the tones is often the greatest challenge, for mispronunciation can lead to confusion or even embarrassment. For native speakers, the tones are simply woven into the fabric of meaning, inseparable from the words themselves. Every sentence carries a hidden melody that shapes what is understood. Whistled languages allow communication across vast mountain distances using only melodic tones. In the mountainous regions of the world, from the Canary Islands to Turkey to Mexico, people have developed a remarkable form of communication that carries across valleys and ridges where shouting would fail. These whistled languages translate spoken words into melodic whistles, stripping away consonants and vowels while preserving the pitch contours that distinguish meaning. A shepherd on one hillside can whistle a message to a companion several kilometers away, the sound carrying clearly through the open air. Silbo Gomero, the whistled language of La Gomera in the Canary Islands, has been recognized by UNESCO and is taught in local schools to preserve this ancient art. The fact that whistled speech can convey complex messages proves that language is not limited to ordinary sounds, but can adapt to the needs of environment and distance. Communication finds a way. And from the melodies of whistled speech, we move now to the structure that gives language its shape, grammar, and syntax. All known human languages have grammar, a system of rules for combining words into meaningful sentences. No matter how simple or complex a language may seem, every language possesses grammar, an underlying structure of rules that governs how words combine to express meaning. Grammar is not the formal rules taught in schools, but the intuitive system that every native speaker absorbs without conscious effort. It determines which word orders are possible, how questions are formed, how time is expressed, and how relationships between ideas are marked. Even languages without writing, spoken by small communities, have fully developed grammars as intricate as those of any literary language. Children acquire these rules naturally, making errors that reveal their hypothesis testing, but ultimately converging on the patterns of their community. Grammar is the invisible architecture of thought made shareable, the silent code underlying every conversation. Noam Chomsky proposed that humans are born with an innate capacity for language called universal grammar. In the 1950s, the linguist Noam Chomsky transformed the study of language with a radical proposal. Children, he argued, learn language too quickly and too perfectly to be explained by imitation alone. They must be born with an innate capacity for language, a mental blueprint called universal grammar, which provides the framework all human languages share. This idea suggests that beneath the differences between English, Japanese, and Swahili, there lies a common structure wired into the human mind from birth. The theory remains influential and controversial, debated by scholars for decades. Whether universal grammar exists as Chomsky proposed, the observation remains striking. Children everywhere learn language with astonishing speed, suggesting that something within the human mind is designed for this task. Children learn grammar without formal instruction, absorbing the rules of their native language through exposure. No child is taught the rules of grammar in the way they might be taught to tie their shoes. Instead, the intricate patterns of their native language are absorbed through exposure, through hours of listening and eventually speaking. By the age of 3 or 4, most children can construct sentences they have never heard before, applying rules they could never consciously describe. They learn when to add endings to verbs, how to form questions, and where to place adjectives, all without explicit instruction. The mistakes they make along the way, saying "goed" instead of "went" for example, reveal not failure but active learning, a mind testing hypotheses about patterns. This natural acquisition is one of the most remarkable feats of human cognition, evidence of a mind tuned to language. The rules are absorbed as naturally as breathing. Some languages place the verb at the beginning of sentences, others in the middle, and others at the end. The order in which words appear in a sentence differs dramatically across the world's languages, revealing that there is no single natural way to arrange thoughts into speech. In English, the subject typically comes first, followed by the verb and then the object. The cat chased the mouse. But in Japanese and Korean, the verb comes at the very end, and in Welsh and Arabic, the verb may come first. These different word orders feel entirely natural to native speakers, each one as logical and efficient as any other. Children learn their language's word order early and effortlessly, rarely making errors. The diversity of word orders shows that the human mind is remarkably flexible, capable of organizing thought into speech in various ways. What matters is consistency within each language, not conformity across all languages. Recursion, the ability to embed sentences within sentences, may be unique to human language. One of the most powerful features of human language is recursion, the ability to place one sentence inside another and another inside that, building structures of potentially infinite complexity. The man who saw the dog that chased the cat that caught the mouse is a single sentence, each clause nested within the one before. This capacity allows humans to express ideas of limitless intricacy, to describe events within events within events. Recursion has been proposed as a defining characteristic of human language, setting it apart from the communication systems of other species. No animal call or gesture has been shown to embed structure within structure in this way. The ability to recurse may be what unlocks the true power of language, allowing finite means to generate infinite possibilities. It is the engine of linguistic creativity. Piraha, a language of the Amazon, has been claimed to lack recursion, challenging linguistic universals. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, a small community speaks a language that has sparked intense debate among linguists. Piraha, spoken by a few hundred people along the Masai River in Brazil, has been claimed to lack recursion entirely, with speakers expressing complex ideas through chains of simple sentences rather than embedded structures. If true, this would challenge the theory that recursion is a universal feature of human language. The linguist Daniel Everett, who lived among the Paraha for years, argued that their language reflects a culture focused on immediate experience rather than abstract thought. Other scholars dispute his findings, suggesting that recursion may be present in more subtle forms. The debate continues, but it reminds us that the diversity of human languages can challenge our assumptions about universal properties. And from the rules that govern sentences, we turn now to how languages change across generations and centuries. All living languages are constantly changing, with new words appearing and old words fading away. No language ever truly stands still. Even as you listen to these words, the English language is quietly changing, gaining new vocabulary, shedding old expressions, and shifting its pronunciation in ways too subtle to notice in a single lifetime. Words that were common a century ago have faded from use, while words that did not exist then are now spoken daily. Grammar evolves, meanings drift, and accents transform from generation to generation. This constant change is not a sign of decay, but of life, evidence that language is used and shaped by living speakers. Languages that stop changing are languages that have stopped being spoken. Change is the natural state of every tongue, a gentle river of transformation flowing through the centuries. The words you use today will sound different on the lips of those who come after you. The Great Vowel Shift transformed English pronunciation between the 1400s and 1700s. Between the late Middle Ages and the early modern period, something dramatic happened to the vowels of English. The sounds that speakers used to pronounce long vowels shifted systematically upward in the mouth, transforming the character of the language. A word like time, once pronounced with a long vowel like team, shifted to its modern sound. The word house once rhymed with goose. This transformation, called the Great Vowel Shift, occurred over several centuries and affected all the long vowels in English, moving them in a chain reaction through different positions. The reasons for this shift remain debated, perhaps social prestige, perhaps the influence of other dialects. What is certain is that English pronunciation before the shift would sound strange to modern ears, a reminder that even familiar languages were once pronounced in ways we might not recognize. Shakespeare's English would have sounded very different from modern British pronunciation. When actors perform Shakespeare today, they typically use modern pronunciation, but the words on the page were written to be spoken in a very different manner. Elizabethan English was still in the midst of the Great Vowel Shift, and many vowels sounded quite different from their modern equivalents. The letter R was pronounced after vowels, giving words a quality closer to some American dialects today than to received pronunciation. Scholars have reconstructed what Shakespeare's English might have sounded like, and the effect is truly surprising, at once familiar and foreign. Puns and rhymes that no longer work in modern pronunciation suddenly make sense again. To hear Shakespeare as his audiences heard him would be to travel back in time, to hear the language in its original music. The plays were written for voices long since silent. Language families trace the ancestry of related languages back to common origins thousands of years ago. Just as species evolve from common ancestors, languages descend from common sources, branching and diverging over time until they become mutually unintelligible. Linguists group related languages into families, tracing shared vocabulary and grammar back to ancestral tongues spoken thousands of years ago. The Romance languages, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian, all descend from Latin, still recognizably siblings despite centuries of separation. Similar relationships connect English to German, Hindi to Bengali, and Mandarin to Cantonese. By comparing words and grammar across related languages, scholars can reconstruct features of the ancestral language, even when no written records remain. This linguistic archaeology reveals connections that span continents and millennia. Every language carries within it echoes of languages long since silenced. The Indo-European language family includes most languages spoken in Europe and South Asia today. From the westernmost shores of Ireland to the plains of northern India, most people speak languages that belong to a single great family, the Indo-European family. English, German, French, Russian, Greek, Persian, Hindi, and dozens of other languages all share a common ancestor, a language spoken somewhere in the steppes of Eurasia thousands of years ago. The evidence for this relationship lies in vocabulary, where words for basic concepts like mother, father, numbers, and parts of the body show clear correspondences across languages separated by thousands of miles. It lies also in grammar, in shared ways of marking tense and case. The spread of Indo-European languages across such a vast area is one of the most remarkable and significant events in human prehistory, a quiet expansion that shaped the linguistic map of the world. Proto-Indo-European, the ancestor of English, Hindi, and Greek, was likely spoken over 5,000 years ago. Somewhere on the steppes north of the Black Sea, perhaps 6,000 years ago, people spoke a language that would one day give birth to most of the languages of Europe and much of Asia. This language, called Proto-Indo-European by scholars, has left no written records, yet linguists have painstakingly reconstructed aspects of its vocabulary and grammar by comparing its many descendants. Words for horse, wheel, and domesticated animals suggest a people who lived in a time of early farming and herding. The language spread with migrations and conquests, eventually diversifying into the Celtic, Germanic, Italic, Slavic, Indo-Iranian, and other branches. English, Hindi, Greek, Russian, and Persian are all cousins, descended from this single source. It is a family connection spanning continents and millennia, written into the words we speak every day. And as we trace these ancient family trees of language, we turn now to one of humanity's greatest inventions, writing. Writing was invented independently in at least 3 places: Mesopotamia, China, and Mesoamerica. The idea of capturing language in visible marks was so powerful that humans invented it not once, but multiple times in complete isolation from one another. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians pressed wedge-shaped marks into soft clay tablets over 5,000 years ago. In China, scribes carved symbols into oracle bones for divination. In Mesoamerica, the Maya and other civilizations developed elaborate systems of glyphs to record history and ritual. Each of these inventions arose independently, suggesting that once societies reach a certain complexity, the need to preserve language beyond the moment becomes irresistible. Writing freed human knowledge from the limits of individual memory and the reach of a single voice. Thoughts could travel across distances and down through generations, outliving their authors by millennia. It was a revolution as profound as speech itself. The oldest known writing system is Sumerian cuneiform, dating back over 5,000 years. In the fertile lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, ancient scribes pressed wedge-shaped reeds into soft clay to create the earliest known form of writing. Sumerian cuneiform began as simple pictographs, images of the objects they represented, but evolved over centuries into an abstract system capable of recording everything from grain inventories to epic poetry. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of humanity's oldest stories, was preserved in these wedge-shaped marks on clay tablets that have survived for thousands of years. Cuneiform was eventually adopted by other cultures, including the Babylonians and Assyrians, spreading literacy across the ancient Near East. The tablets were baked hard or left to dry, and many have endured where paper would have rotted and stone would have crumbled. These humble clay objects are windows into minds that thought and dreamed 5 millennia ago. The Phoenician alphabet is the ancestor of nearly all alphabets used in the world today. Around 3,000 years ago, Phoenician traders sailing the Mediterranean developed a writing system that would transform human communication. Their alphabet consisted of about 22 symbols, each representing a consonant sound, a dramatic simplification compared to the hundreds of symbols required by earlier writing systems. This innovation made literacy more accessible, no longer requiring years of specialized training. The Greeks adapted the Phoenician alphabet, adding symbols for vowels, and their version spread to Rome, whose Latin alphabet is the ancestor of the letters you are listening to now. Arabic, Hebrew, and countless other scripts also trace their lineage back to this Phoenician ancestor. A small group of ancient merchants created a system so elegant and powerful that it conquered most of the literate world. Chinese characters are one of the oldest continuously used writing systems, with symbols dating back over 3,000 years. While other ancient writing systems have faded into history, Chinese characters have remained in continuous use for over 3 millennia, adapted and refined, but never abandoned. The earliest examples appear on oracle bones used for divination during the Shang dynasty, and many of these ancient symbols evolved into the characters still used today. Unlike alphabets, Chinese characters represent meanings rather than sounds, allowing speakers of mutually unintelligible dialects to read the same texts. Learning to read requires memorizing thousands of individual characters, each a small work of art composed of deliberate strokes. This system has preserved cultural continuity across centuries of change, allowing modern readers to connect directly with texts written by scholars who lived thousands of years ago. The characters are bridges across time. The Rosetta Stone allowed scholars to decipher Egyptian hieroglyphics after centuries of mystery. For over 1,000 years, the elaborate symbols carved onto Egyptian monuments remained silent, their meaning lost to the world. Then in 1799, soldiers in Napoleon's army discovered a remarkable stone slab near the town of Rosetta in Egypt. The stone bore the same text inscribed in 3 scripts: ancient Greek, Demotic Egyptian, and the mysterious hieroglyphics. Because scholars could read Greek, they finally had a key to unlock the ancient code. The French scholar Jean-François Champollion made the crucial breakthroughs, recognizing that hieroglyphics combine both phonetic and symbolic elements. His work opened the door to understanding thousands of years of Egyptian history, literature, and religion that had been locked away in stone. A single artifact resurrected an entire civilization's voice from the depths of silence. Some writing systems, like Japanese, combine multiple scripts in a single text. The Japanese writing system is one of the most remarkably complex in the world, weaving together 3 different scripts in ordinary text. Kanji, characters borrowed from Chinese, represent meanings and are used for nouns, verb stems, and adjectives. Hiragana, a syllabic script with flowing curves, handles grammatical elements and native Japanese words. Katakana, another syllabic system with angular shapes, is used for foreign words and emphasis. A typical Japanese sentence might contain all 3 scripts side by side, each serving a different function. Learning to read requires mastering thousands of kanji along with 2 complete syllabaries. Yet for native readers, this complexity becomes invisible, the different scripts blending into a single smooth reading experience. The system is a reminder that writing can take many forms beyond the simple alphabet. And from the written word, we return now to the spoken, exploring languages at the edges of extinction. A language dies somewhere in the world approximately every 2 weeks. As you rest tonight, somewhere in the world, a language may be falling silent for the very last time. Linguists estimate that a language dies roughly every 2 weeks, taking with it unique words, stories, songs, and distinct ways of understanding the world around us. Most of these dying languages are spoken only by small and isolated communities, often elderly speakers whose children have shifted away to dominant regional or global languages instead. When the last speaker dies, a thread of human thought that stretches back countless generations is severed forever. No recording can fully capture a living language with its idioms, humor, and subtle associations. Each loss profoundly diminishes the full range of human expression, the diversity of ways our species has found to make sense of existence. Every 2 weeks, a door closes that can never be reopened. Over 40% of the world's 7,000 languages are considered endangered. Of the roughly 7,000 languages spoken on Earth today, more than 40% are classified as endangered, spoken by so few people that they may not survive the coming generations. Many have only a handful of elderly speakers left, with no children learning the language fluently. The causes are varied, including globalization, urbanization, economic pressure, and government policies that have historically suppressed minority languages. Dominant languages like English, Mandarin, and Spanish expand while smaller languages contract, unable to compete for speakers in an interconnected world. The loss accelerates with each generation, as parents choose to raise their children in languages that offer greater economic opportunity. Yet behind each endangered language lies a community, a history, and a way of thinking that existed nowhere else on Earth. When a language dies, a unique way of understanding the world disappears forever. Every language encodes a distinct perspective on reality, carving up the world into categories and relationships in ways unique to its speakers. Some languages have dozens of words for snow or sand or kinship relations that English simply lacks entirely. Others encode valuable information about evidence or time in ways that English grammar cannot easily express. When a language dies, these unique ways of thinking die with it, perspectives honed over generations of human experience that can never be reconstructed. The stories, metaphors, and wisdom embedded in untranslatable words are lost forever. Linguists describe language death as the loss of an irreplaceable library, a repository of knowledge gathered over centuries. Each language that falls silent takes with it a piece of human possibility, a way of being human that existed nowhere else. The last native speaker of a language often carries irreplaceable knowledge of vocabulary, stories, and traditions. When a language dwindles to a single speaker, that person becomes the sole guardian of an entire linguistic universe. They alone know the full richness of the vocabulary, the nuances of grammar, the traditional stories and songs passed down through many generations. Linguists sometimes race to document dying languages, working with the last speakers to record what can be saved before it is too late. But even the most thorough documentation captures only a fraction of what a living language contains, missing the spontaneous creativity, the unspoken associations, the living context that gives words their full meaning. When the last speaker dies, they take with them knowledge that cannot be recovered from any archive. The silence that follows is permanent, a voice that spoke for generations now forever stilled. And as you rest with these thoughts about the fragility of human speech, remember that there is no need to hold on to any of them. Let them pass through you like whispered echoes in this documentary for sleep. Let your breathing slow, and let your body sink a little deeper into stillness, drifting toward deep sleep. Language revitalization efforts have brought some languages, like Hebrew, back from the edge of extinction. Hebrew is the most remarkable example of a language brought back to full life after centuries of dormancy. For nearly 2,000 years, Hebrew existed primarily as a written language used for religious texts, prayer, and scholarly works, while Jewish communities spoke the languages of their host countries. Then, in the late 19th century, a man named Eliezer ben Yehuda began a determined campaign to revive Hebrew as a living spoken language for everyday use. He raised his son as the first native Hebrew speaker in modern times, created thousands of new words for modern concepts, and tirelessly advocated for Hebrew in schools. Today, millions of people speak Hebrew as their first language in Israel, a living testament to what dedicated efforts can achieve. No other language has made such a complete journey from purely written to fully spoken in the modern era. Welsh has seen a resurgence in speakers thanks to education programs and media support. A century ago, the Welsh language seemed destined to fade away, spoken mainly by the elderly in rural communities, while English dominated cities and official life. But determined efforts to preserve the language have reversed this decline in remarkable ways. Welsh medium schools now teach thousands of children entirely in Welsh, creating new generations of fluent speakers. Welsh television and radio stations broadcast throughout the country, keeping the language present in daily life. Road signs appear in both Welsh and English, and government services are available in Welsh by law. The result has been a genuine revival, with the number of Welsh speakers stabilizing and even growing in some areas. The language that once seemed endangered now has a secure place in modern life, carried forward by young people who choose to speak it. Many indigenous communities are using technology to preserve and teach their ancestral languages. Indigenous communities around the world are embracing modern technology to preserve languages passed down orally for countless generations. Smartphone apps now teach vocabulary and pronunciation for languages spoken by only a few hundred people. Online dictionaries and grammar guides make it possible to study endangered languages from anywhere on Earth. Video calls connect young people with elderly speakers who live far away, bridging geographic gaps that once hastened language loss. Social media groups allow dispersed communities to communicate in their ancestral tongue, keeping it relevant and alive. Recording technology captures the voices of fluent speakers, preserving sounds and stories for future generations. These digital tools cannot replace the experience of growing up in a living language community, but they offer new hope for languages that might otherwise fall silent. And from the efforts to save endangered voices, we move now to languages that need no voice at all: sign languages. Sign languages are complete natural languages with their own grammar and syntax. Sign languages are not simplified versions of spoken languages or mere collections of gestures. They are complete natural languages with their own grammar, syntax, and vocabulary, capable of expressing any thought that words can convey. Like spoken languages, sign languages have regional dialects and historical evolution, changing over time within their communities. They use space, movement, facial expressions, and hand shapes in combinations that follow consistent grammatical rules. Poetry and storytelling flourish in sign languages, with skilled signers creating works of beauty and depth. Linguists recognize sign languages as fully equivalent to spoken languages in expressive power and structural complexity. Languages can exist entirely without sound, demonstrating that the essence of language lies not in the medium, but in the human capacity for structured symbolic communication. There are over 300 different sign languages used around the world today. Just as spoken languages developed independently around the world, sign languages emerged separately wherever deaf communities formed. There are over 300 documented sign languages today, each with its own vocabulary, grammar, and cultural expressions. Some countries have multiple sign languages, reflecting regional differences in how deaf communities developed. These languages are not mutually intelligible, just as a speaker of Japanese cannot understand Swahili without learning it. International gatherings of deaf people require sign language interpreters, just as spoken conferences do. The diversity of sign languages reflects the same creative linguistic capacity that produced thousands of spoken languages. Each sign language represents a community's history, culture, and unique way of expressing thought through movement and space. American Sign Language is more closely related to French Sign Language than to British Sign Language. One might assume sign languages would follow the same family tree as spoken languages, but history has created surprising connections. American Sign Language traces its origins not to Britain but to France, because the first American school for the deaf was founded with help from a French teacher, Laurent Clerc, in 1817. Clerc brought French Sign Language with him, and it blended with signs already used by deaf Americans to create a new language. Meanwhile, British Sign Language developed independently from different roots, with its own hand shapes and grammatical structures. An American signer and a French signer can often understand each other well, while an American signer and a British signer may struggle without learning each other's language. The history of sign languages reflects migration, education, and community formation rather than geographic proximity. Deaf children acquire sign language in the same developmental stages as hearing children acquire spoken language. Deaf babies born to signing parents begin to babble in sign language at the same age that hearing babies babble in sound, around 6 to 8 months old. They make repetitive hand movements that resemble signs but do not yet carry meaning, just as hearing infants repeat syllables without forming words. As they grow, deaf children progress through the same stages of language acquisition as hearing children, first producing single signs, then combining them into phrases, and gradually mastering complex grammar. They make the same kinds of errors, overgeneralizing rules before learning exceptions. This parallel demonstrates that language acquisition is not about sound, but about the brain's innate capacity to learn structured symbolic systems. The developmental timeline is built into our biology, waiting for whatever linguistic input reaches us. Nicaraguan Sign Language emerged spontaneously among deaf children in the 1980s, offering a rare glimpse of language birth. In the 1980s, a remarkable natural experiment occurred in Nicaragua. Deaf children who had been isolated in their homes were brought together for the first time in special schools. They arrived with only rudimentary home signs, simple gestures developed with their families. But as they began to interact, something extraordinary happened. The children spontaneously created a new sign language, developing grammatical rules and vocabulary that no adult had taught them. Younger children entering the schools refined this language further, adding grammatical complexity that the older creators had not developed. Linguists witnessing this process saw a language being born in real time, confirming theories about the brain's innate capacity for structured language. Nicaraguan Sign Language now has thousands of fluent users. The brain processes sign language in the same regions that process spoken language. When scientists scan the brains of people using sign language, they find activity in the same regions that process spoken language in hearing individuals. Broca's area and Wernicke's area, the famous language centers in the left hemisphere, light up whether someone is speaking, listening, signing, or watching signs. This suggests that these brain regions are not specialized for sound or speech at all, but rather for processing structured symbolic communication in any form. Damage to these areas affects sign language users in the same ways it affects speakers, causing comparable types of language difficulties. The brain, it seems, evolved to handle language as an abstract system of meaning and grammar, flexible enough to work through ears and mouths or through eyes and hands. Language is fundamentally a cognitive capacity, not tied to any particular sensory channel. And from languages expressed through hands and eyes, we turn now to the voices of other species and why human language stands alone. Many animals communicate, but none have been shown to possess language with the full complexity of human speech. The natural world is filled with remarkable communication systems, from birdsong to whale calls to the signals of social insects. Many animals convey information about danger, food, identity, and emotional states through sounds and gestures. Yet none of these systems display the defining features of human language, combining a finite set of elements into countless meaningful expressions with arbitrary symbols and recursive grammar. Animal calls are largely fixed and instinctive, tied to specific situations rather than freely combined to express novel ideas. No animal in the wild has been observed discussing the past, planning for the distant future, or speculating about abstract possibilities the way humans do. The gap between animal communication and human language remains one of the most profound mysteries of our species, a capacity that separates us from all other life. Vervet monkeys use different alarm calls for different predators, showing a basic form of reference. In the forests of East Africa, vervet monkeys have developed a fascinating communication system that hints at the origins of meaningful speech. When a leopard prowls nearby, they give one type of alarm call, and other monkeys climb into trees. When an eagle soars overhead, they give a different call, and the troop looks up or hides in bushes. A snake elicits yet another distinct call, sending monkeys standing upright to scan the ground. These are not random cries of fear, but specific sounds that refer to specific threats, prompting appropriate responses. Young vervets learn these calls by trial and error, sometimes making mistakes before mastering the system. This represents a basic form of reference, where a sound stands for something in the world. It is not language, but it shows that elements of meaningful communication exist elsewhere in nature. Dolphins have signature whistles that function like names, allowing them to call to specific individuals. Beneath the waves, dolphins have developed a remarkably sophisticated communication system that includes something very like names. Each dolphin develops a unique signature whistle in the first months of life, a pattern of sounds that identifies that individual. Other dolphins remember these whistles and use them to call to specific individuals, much as we might call someone's name across a crowd. Studies have shown that dolphins respond more strongly when they hear their own signature whistle than when they hear others. Mother dolphins whistle their own signatures repeatedly to their calves, perhaps helping the young learn to recognize them. When dolphins meet after separation, they exchange signature whistles as if greeting each other by name. This use of learned, arbitrary sounds to refer to individuals represents a remarkable convergence with human naming practices. Parrots can mimic human speech, but do not appear to understand grammar or syntax. Parrots have long fascinated humans with their ability to reproduce human words with uncanny accuracy. This mimicry arises from their vocal learning ability, a trait shared by only a few groups of animals, including songbirds and whales. Some parrots can learn hundreds of words and phrases, repeating them in contexts that sometimes seem meaningfully appropriate. Yet studies suggest that parrots do not grasp the grammatical rules that allow humans to combine words in endless new ways. They may associate words with situations or rewards without understanding the underlying structure of language. The famous African gray parrot named Alex showed remarkable abilities, using words to identify objects, colors, and quantities, but even his achievements fell short of human grammatical competence. Parrots remind us that producing speech sounds and possessing true language are not the same thing. The dance language of honeybees communicates the direction and distance of food sources with remarkable precision. When a honeybee scout discovers a rich source of nectar, she returns to the hive and performs an elaborate dance on the vertical comb. The angle of her waggle run relative to vertical indicates the direction of the food source relative to the sun. The duration of the waggle phase communicates the distance, with longer waggles meaning farther flowers. Other bees observe this dance closely, then fly directly to the indicated location, often finding the exact patch of flowers. This dance language allows bees to share precise information about resources miles away. Carl von Frisch decoded this system in the mid-20th century, winning a Nobel Prize for his work. Though it lacks the flexibility of human language, the bee dance remains one of the most sophisticated communication systems in the animal kingdom. Attempts to teach apes human language have shown impressive vocabulary, but limited grammatical ability. Since the mid-20th century, researchers have attempted to teach human language to great apes, our closest living relatives. Chimpanzees, gorillas, and bonobos have learned to use sign language or symbol boards, acquiring vocabularies of hundreds of words. The famous gorilla Koko reportedly knew over 1,000 signs and could combine them in simple ways. Yet critics note that ape language use rarely shows the grammatical complexity that even young human children display. Apes tend to use signs in simple combinations focused on immediate desires rather than in the recursive structures humans employ. They struggle with abstract concepts and subtle grammatical distinctions that come naturally to human speakers. The ape language experiments suggest that our closest relatives possess impressive cognitive abilities, yet lack the full language capacity that defines our species. And as we consider what makes human language unique, we turn now to the sounds of our own voices, accents and dialects that reveal where we come from. Everyone speaks with an accent, including those who believe they speak without one. Many people believe they speak without an accent, using neutral or standard pronunciation, while others have distinctive regional speech patterns. Yet linguists point out that every speaker has an accent, a particular way of producing the sounds of their language that reflects their geographic and social background. What is perceived as accentless speech is simply the accent that carries prestige in a given society, often the speech of educated urban classes. In Britain, received pronunciation was long considered the standard against which other accents were judged, though only a small minority of people actually speak this way. In America, a generalized Midwestern accent often serves as the broadcast standard. The very notion of accentless speech reveals how deeply we associate certain speech patterns with authority, education, and belonging. Everyone carries the music of their origins in their voice. Accents begin to form in infancy, shaped by the speech patterns heard in the first year of life. Long before babies speak their first words, they are already absorbing the sound patterns of the language spoken around them. Studies show that newborns prefer the sounds of their mother's language over unfamiliar languages, having learned its rhythms in the womb. By 6 months, infants begin to focus on the sounds relevant to their native language, while losing sensitivity to sounds not used in that language. This early tuning explains why adults often struggle to hear or produce sounds from foreign languages that babies would have easily distinguished. The accent a person carries through life has its roots in those first months of listening, as the brain molds itself to the sounds of the linguistic environment. Even subtle differences between regional accents are absorbed during this sensitive period. Our voices carry echoes of our earliest experiences. Dialects can vary so much that speakers of the same language may struggle to understand each other. Within a single language, regional dialects can diverge until mutual understanding becomes difficult. Speakers of Scots English and speakers of Southern American English technically share a language, yet they may find each other's speech challenging to follow without exposure. The causes of such divergence include geographic isolation, migration patterns, and contact with other languages. Mountain ranges, rivers, and political borders can all slow the spread of linguistic changes, allowing dialects to develop in different directions. Even within small countries, dialects can vary dramatically from village to village, preserving archaic features or developing local innovations. These dialects are not corruptions of a pure standard but living branches of an ever-changing linguistic tree. They remind us that language is always in flux, shaped by the communities who speak it. The distinction between a language and a dialect is often political rather than linguistic. Linguists often note that a language is a dialect with an army and a navy, highlighting the political nature of the distinction. Norwegian and Swedish are considered separate languages, yet their speakers can often understand each other across the border. Mandarin and Cantonese are called dialects of Chinese, yet they are not mutually intelligible. The decision to call speech varieties languages or dialects often reflects political history, national identity, and power rather than purely linguistic criteria. When a form of speech gains official status, schools, media, and government, it becomes elevated to the status of a language, while other varieties remain mere dialects. This distinction carries social consequences, affecting how speakers are perceived and what opportunities they access. Language and identity are deeply intertwined. Received pronunciation, the traditional accent of educated British English, is spoken natively by only a small percentage of the population. Received pronunciation, often associated with the British upper classes and the BBC, was long held up as the model of correct English speech. Yet only about 3% of the British population speaks with this accent natively. RP developed in the public schools and universities of southern England, spreading through the influence of broadcasting and education. For much of the 20th century, it was virtually required for announcers, actors, and politicians seeking national audiences. Today, attitudes have shifted, and regional accents appear more frequently in British media. Yet RP still carries associations of authority, education, and social prestige, influencing how speakers are perceived. The accent reminds us how speech can mark social boundaries and shape life chances. And from the accents that color our speech, we turn now to the mysterious relationship between language and thought. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis suggests that the language we speak shapes the way we think. In the early 20th century, linguists Edward Sapir and Benjamin Lee Whorf proposed a provocative idea that the language we speak does not merely express our thoughts but actively shapes them. In its strongest form, the hypothesis suggests that speakers of different languages perceive and understand the world in fundamentally different ways. While the strongest claims have been challenged, a weaker version finds support in modern research. Studies show that language can influence attention, memory, and categorization in subtle but measurable ways. The vocabulary and grammatical structures of our native tongue may guide how we notice and organize experience. This idea invites us to wonder what thoughts might be easier or harder to think in different languages. Our mother tongue may be not just a tool for expression, but but a lens through which we see reality. Some languages lack words for specific colors, and speakers of those languages perceive color differently in experiments. Languages divide the color spectrum in remarkably different ways, and these divisions appear to influence our perception. Russian has separate basic words for light blue and dark blue, treating them as distinct colors. Studies show that Russian speakers are faster at distinguishing between these shades than English speakers, who use a single word for blue. The Dani people of New Guinea have only 2 basic color terms, yet they can see the full spectrum. However, their language influences how quickly they categorize and remember colors in experiments. These findings suggest that while all humans perceive the same physical reality, language shapes the speed and ease of processing certain distinctions. The categories built into our vocabulary become the categories most available to our thinking. Languages that use absolute directions instead of relative ones produce speakers with extraordinary spatial memory. In most European languages, we describe space using relative terms. The cup is to the left of the plate, the shop is behind the church. But speakers of some indigenous Australian languages use absolute directions, saying the cup is to the north of the plate, regardless of which way they are facing. To speak this way requires knowing your orientation at all times, and remarkably, speakers of these languages maintain an extraordinary mental compass. They can point accurately toward distant locations and keep track of directions, even after being spun around blindfolded. This spatial awareness develops in childhood as part of learning the language. The demand to constantly track cardinal directions appears to train a remarkable cognitive capacity that most speakers of relative direction languages never develop. Bilingual speakers often report feeling like different people when speaking different languages. People who speak more than one language often describe a rather curious sensation. They feel like slightly different people in each language. Personality surveys completed in different languages sometimes yield different results for the same bilingual individual. This may reflect the cultural associations that each language carries, the contexts in which each was learned, and the social roles they play in different parts of life. A person might feel more formal in a language learned at school, more emotional in the language of childhood, more professional in the language of work. Some bilinguals report that certain emotions are easier to express in one language than another. The self, it seems, is not a fixed entity, but something that shifts with the linguistic context. Each language offers a different way of being in the world. The language we speak may influence how we perceive time, space, and even numbers. Beyond color and space, language appears to influence our perception of time and quantity. English speakers tend to think of time as a horizontal line stretching from left to right. Mandarin speakers more often use vertical metaphors, with earlier events above and later events below. These different spatial mappings affect how people respond in psychology experiments involving time. Some languages require speakers to mark whether an event was witnessed or merely reported, potentially sharpening attention to evidence. Languages with precise number words allow speakers to perform certain cognitive tasks that are difficult for speakers of languages with only approximate quantity terms. These findings suggest that the structure of language subtly guides how we represent reality in our minds, though it does not imprison us in a single worldview. And as you rest with these thoughts about the relationship between words and perception, let them float gently through your mind like sleepy science drifting through the night. There is no need to grasp at any single idea. Let your thoughts quiet and feel your body growing heavier, more peaceful, ready to fall asleep fast. Studies show that learning a second language can delay the onset of dementia by several years. Large-scale studies following thousands of people over many years have found a striking pattern. Bilingual individuals tend to develop symptoms of dementia several years later than monolinguals, even when factors like education and social class are controlled. The constant mental exercise of managing two language systems appears to build cognitive reserve that protects the brain from decline. Bilinguals must continually inhibit one language while using the other, exercising executive functions throughout their lives. This mental workout seems to strengthen the very cognitive abilities that weaken in dementia. The protective effect has been found in both lifelong bilinguals and those who learned a second language later in life. Speaking multiple languages may be one of the most accessible ways to maintain brain health into old age. Bilingual children often outperform monolingual children on tasks requiring focus and mental flexibility. Growing up with two languages shapes the brain in ways that extend far beyond language itself. Studies show that bilingual children often outperform their monolingual peers on tasks requiring sustained attention, mental switching, and ignoring irrelevant information. These abilities, collectively called executive function, are essential for success in school and life. The bilingual advantage arises from the constant practice of managing two language systems, deciding which language to use and suppressing the other. This mental juggling becomes automatic, but continues to exercise cognitive control throughout life. While some researchers debate the size of these effects, the overall pattern suggests real benefits to growing up bilingual. Two languages offer not just two ways of communicating, but enhanced mental flexibility. The critical period hypothesis suggests that language learning is easiest before puberty. One of the most debated ideas in language acquisition is the critical period hypothesis, which proposes that there is an optimal window for learning language that closes around puberty. Children exposed to language in these early years acquire it effortlessly and attain native-level proficiency. Those who begin learning later, particularly after adolescence, typically struggle more and rarely achieve the same fluency. The hypothesis draws support from cases of children raised in extreme isolation, who never fully acquire normal language abilities, even with intensive training later. Brain imaging studies show that the neural processing of language differs between early and late learners. While the exact boundaries and mechanisms remain debated, there does appear to be something special about early childhood for language acquisition. The brain's plasticity shifts as we mature. Adults can still become fluent in new languages, though they rarely lose their foreign accent entirely. The critical period does not mean adults cannot learn new languages. Millions of people achieve fluency in second languages learned well past childhood. Adult learners can attain extensive vocabularies, master complex grammar, and communicate their thoughts with precision. What they rarely achieve is a native-like accent, the subtle pronunciation patterns absorbed in the earliest years of life. The accent of childhood tends to persist, even after decades of speaking a second language fluently. This is not a failure, but simply a reflection of how the brain develops, with sound production becoming fixed earlier than other aspects of language. Adult language learners should take comfort that communication matters more than accent. Fluency and understanding are entirely achievable at any age with dedication and practice. Immersion is the most effective method for learning a new language, mimicking how children acquire their first. Language learning researchers have long observed that immersion, surrounding oneself with the target language in everyday life, produces the fastest and most natural acquisition. This mirrors how children learn their first language, absorbing it from constant exposure rather than formal instruction. In immersion settings, learners must use the language to accomplish real tasks, making errors but receiving immediate feedback. The brain treats language as a survival tool rather than an academic subject, engaging deeper learning processes. Classroom instruction has its place, but nothing matches living in a language for building fluency. Those who cannot travel can create immersion experiences through media, conversation partners, and thinking in the new language. The path to fluency runs through meaningful use, not just memorization. And from the art of learning new tongues, we turn now to the science of meaning itself, semantics, and how words carry thought. Words are symbols that represent concepts, and different languages carve up meaning in different ways. The relationship between words and meanings is arbitrary, a convention agreed upon by speakers rather than a natural connection. The word tree has no inherent link to the tall plants with leaves that it represents. French speakers call the same thing arbor, and both words work equally well. Yet within this arbitrariness lies remarkable variation in how languages organize meaning. English uses the same word for a cousin who is male and one who is female. Other languages require different words. Some languages distinguish between older and younger siblings with separate terms. English does not. Verbs may encode information about how an action was performed or whether the speaker witnessed it that English leaves implicit. Each language offers its speakers a unique toolkit for carving reality into named categories, shaping how experiences are packaged into thoughts. Some languages have words for emotions or experiences that have no direct translation in other languages. Every language contains words that resist translation, expressions that capture feelings or experiences with no single equivalent in other tongues. German has Schadenfreude, the pleasure felt at another's misfortune. Portuguese has saudade, a deep longing for something or someone that is absent. Japanese has wabi-sabi, an appreciation of beauty in imperfection and impermanence. These words are not just vocabulary gaps in other languages. They reflect cultural values and shared experiences that shape how speakers think about the world. When we encounter such words, we glimpse aspects of human experience that our own language did not name. Learning these words can be like gaining a new lens on reality, suddenly seeing things that were always there but unmarked. Language is not just a mirror of experience, but a map that guides attention. The Danish word hygge and the Japanese word ikigai describe feelings that require entire sentences in English. The Danish concept of hygge refers to a quality of coziness, warmth, and contentment, often experienced with loved ones in comfortable settings. It is not simply comfort or pleasure, but a specific atmosphere that Danes recognize and cultivate. Japanese ikigai refers to a reason for being, the intersection of what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be rewarded for. To translate these words requires sentences or paragraphs rather than single terms. Their untranslatability reveals that some experiences take on particular significance in certain cultures, named and nurtured in ways other societies do not emphasize. These words become cultural touchstones, shaping not just communication, but identities and values. Each language carries its own constellation of ideas it finds worth naming. Metaphor is not merely a poetic device, but a fundamental part of how humans think and speak. Linguists George Lakoff and Mark Johnson revolutionized our understanding of language by showing that metaphor is not just ornamental but essential to everyday thought. We do not simply use metaphors to make speech more colorful. We think in metaphors, structuring abstract concepts in terms of more concrete experiences. We speak of falling in love, rising to a challenge, and grasping an idea without pausing to notice these are physical actions applied to mental states. Metaphors shape reasoning, allowing us to understand complex and abstract domains through familiar bodily experiences. The metaphors embedded in a language influence how its speakers think about everything from time to morality. Far from being poetic extras, metaphors are the hidden framework of human cognition, quietly structuring how we make sense of the world. We speak of time in terms of space, money in terms of liquid, and arguments in terms of war without realizing it. Consider how naturally we speak of spending time, saving time, and wasting time as though time were money. We describe arguments in terms of attack and defense, winning and losing, as though they were battles to be fought. Money flows, dries up, and gets poured into projects, as though it were a liquid moving through channels. These conceptual metaphors are so deeply embedded that we rarely notice them, yet they shape how we reason about these domains. The war metaphor makes us see arguments as conflicts to be won rather than collaborative explorations. The money metaphor makes us treat time as a scarce resource to be hoarded. Different languages sometimes use different metaphors for the same concepts, potentially influencing how speakers think about them. Our metaphors reveal the hidden logic of our thought. Euphemisms allow speakers to discuss difficult topics by softening language and shifting meaning. Human societies develop euphemisms to discuss uncomfortable topics without speaking too directly. We say someone passed away rather than died, went to the restroom rather than the toilet, let someone go rather than fired them. Euphemisms create social distance from difficult realities, allowing polite conversation about subjects that might otherwise cause discomfort. They change over time, as old euphemisms become too closely associated with what they name and new ones emerge. This cycle, sometimes called the euphemism treadmill, means that polite vocabulary is constantly evolving. Euphemisms also serve political purposes, softening harsh policies with gentler language. The study of euphemisms reveals much about what a society finds shameful, taboo, or simply uncomfortable to name directly. Language provides a veil when we need one. And from the subtle layers of meaning, we move now to the rhythms and melodies that give speech its music, prosody. Prosody refers to the rhythm, stress, and intonation of speech, adding emotional color to words. While words carry meaning, prosody adds emotion, emphasis, and shades of intention that words alone simply cannot convey. The same sentence can be a statement, a question, or an exclamation depending entirely on its intonation. Rising pitch at the end of a sentence signals a question in English, while falling pitch signals a statement. Stress patterns determine whether record is a noun or a verb. The rhythm of speech communicates urgency, boredom, excitement, or calm feelings. Listeners are remarkably sensitive to these prosodic cues, often detecting sarcasm, irony, or sincerity from tone alone. Prosody develops early in infancy, with babies responding to the emotional tone of speech before understanding any words. The music of speech carries as much meaning as the lyrics, coloring every conversation with emotional information. A single sentence can express joy, sarcasm, or anger depending entirely on how it is spoken. The flexibility of prosody allows speakers to communicate vastly different meanings with identical words. The phrase, "Oh, wonderful," spoken with rising enthusiasm, conveys genuine delight. Spoken with flat, drawn-out delivery, it signals sarcasm instead. "I love your new haircut" can be a sincere compliment or a cutting criticism depending entirely on tone. Actors and skilled speakers understand this power, using prosody to convey emotion, emphasis, and subtext. Listeners interpret prosodic cues automatically and quickly, often without conscious awareness. Misinterpretation of tone is a common source of conflict, particularly in text communication where prosody is absent. The same words become infinite in their potential meanings when filtered through the music of the human voice. Tone is not merely an extra, it is essential to meaning. Motherese, the exaggerated speech adults use with infants, is found in nearly all cultures and aids language development. When adults speak to babies, something remarkable happens to their voice. Pitch rises, speech slows, intonation becomes exaggerated, and vowels are stretched and clarified. This way of speaking, known as motherese or infant-directed speech, appears in cultures around the world. Infants prefer listening to this special register over normal adult speech, paying closer attention to its musical qualities. Research suggests motherese actually helps babies learn language by making speech sounds clearer and highlighting important patterns. The exaggerated prosody captures attention, while the simplified vocabulary and grammar match the infant's developing abilities. Parents who use more motherese tend to have children with faster language development. This instinctive adaptation shows how deeply attuned humans are to the needs of their youngest learners. Poetry and song exploit the natural music of language, turning words into art. Every language has its own rhythm, and poets learn to work with this natural rhythm to create art. In English, stressed and unstressed syllables create patterns like iambic pentameter that have shaped poetry for many centuries. Rhyme, alliteration, and assonance create pleasing echoes of sound that give poems their musical quality. When words are set to melody, as in song, the natural prosody of language combines with musical structure to create something more powerful than either alone. Song can make words memorable, emotional, and beautiful in ways that speech alone cannot achieve. Oral cultures have long used rhythm and melody to preserve important stories and valuable information across generations. The boundary between language and music blurs in these art forms, reminding us how deeply sound and meaning are connected in the human mind. And from the melodies of speech, we turn now to moments when language fails, the strange and illuminating world of speech errors. Slips of the tongue reveal how the brain organizes and retrieves language in real time. When we make a slip of the tongue, we offer researchers a window into the hidden workings of language in the brain. These errors are not random, but follow predictable patterns that reveal how words are stored, selected, and assembled for speaking. We might swap the first sounds of two words, producing queer old Dean instead of dear old Queen. We might substitute a word with a similar meaning or similar sound without intending to. We might blend two phrases together into something neither one intended. These mistakes suggest that producing speech involves selecting, ordering, and assembling units of language in sequences, and sometimes the process misfires. By studying patterns in speech errors, linguists have mapped the mental processes underlying our fluent speech. Every slip reveals something about the architecture of language in our minds. Spoonerisms swap sounds between words, producing phrases like a blushing crow instead of a crushing blow. Spoonerisms are named after William Archibald Spooner, an Oxford Don famous for transposing sounds between words in creative and amusing ways. He reportedly said things like "You have hissed all my mystery lectures," when he actually meant "missed all my history lectures." In these errors, the initial sounds of words trade places, often producing comic results that still somehow make grammatical sense. Spoonerisms reveal that when we plan a sentence, we have already accessed the upcoming words before we speak them aloud, allowing their sounds to intrude on earlier words. The phenomenon shows us that speech is not produced one word at a time, but is planned in larger chunks ahead of time. These errors, while often embarrassing in the moment, offer valuable evidence about how the brain carefully sequences the sounds of speech. Tip-of-the-tongue experiences show that word retrieval involves multiple steps that can fail independently. Everyone has experienced the frustrating sensation of knowing a word but being completely unable to retrieve it. We may know the first letter, the number of syllables, even related words, yet the target word refuses to come to mind no matter how hard we try. This tip-of-the-tongue experience reveals that word retrieval is not a single, simple process, but involves multiple stages that can partially succeed. We access meaning and partial form information, while the complete sound pattern remains blocked. Studies show that seeing or hearing similar sounding words can either help or hinder retrieval, depending on circumstances. The frustration usually resolves eventually, often when we stop trying. This common experience offers a glimpse into the complex machinery of memory and language working together to retrieve the right word. Aphasia can cause people to lose specific categories of words while retaining others. Damage to specific brain regions can produce aphasia, an impairment of language abilities that takes many different forms. Some people with aphasia struggle to produce speech fluently but understand it well. Others speak fluently but produce sentences that make little sense. Remarkably, some individuals lose certain categories of words while retaining others completely intact. A person might be unable to name vegetables but have no trouble naming vehicles, or struggle with verbs while nouns remain intact. These strange patterns suggest that the brain organizes vocabulary not just by form, but also by meaning, with different categories stored or accessed in different neural regions. The selective nature of aphasic deficits has taught us much about how language is represented in the brain, revealing organization invisible in healthy speakers. Some individuals with brain injuries lose the ability to name tools, but can still name animals perfectly. Neurological case studies have revealed remarkable double dissociations in vocabulary abilities. Some patients with brain injuries cannot name tools or manipulable objects, but have no trouble naming animals or living things. Other patients show the opposite pattern, struggling with animal names while tool names come easily. These dissociations suggest that the brain stores different categories of concepts in different networks, possibly reflecting how we interact with them. Tools involve motor planning and actions, while animals involve visual recognition and biological knowledge. The selective loss of categories challenges simple models of how vocabulary is stored and retrieved. These cases remind us that beneath our fluid naming abilities lies a complex neural architecture that becomes visible only when it breaks. And from the fragile nature of language in the brain, we turn now to the creative forces that shape language, slang, neologisms, and invention. Slang emerges in every generation, allowing groups to signal identity and belonging through shared vocabulary. Every generation develops its own distinctive slang, words and expressions that mark group membership and help distinguish insiders from outsiders. Teenagers create vocabulary that parents do not fully understand, signaling identity and creating solidarity within their peer groups. Professional communities develop technical jargon that serves similar functions, marking expertise and shared knowledge. Slang is not linguistic decay, but a natural and deeply creative aspect of language use. Some slang words fade quickly, while others gradually become part of standard vocabulary. The word mob was once slang, as was banter and fun. Slang allows speakers to play with language, to be inventive and expressive in ways formal vocabulary does not permit. Each new generation remakes the language, keeping it fresh and alive. Shakespeare invented over 1,700 words that are still in use today, including lonely, generous, and assassination. William Shakespeare's contribution to the English language extends far beyond his plays and poems. He invented or popularized over 1,700 words that remain in common use today. Lonely, generous, and assassination were all coined by Shakespeare, along with countless other everyday terms we still use. He created new words by adding prefixes and suffixes to existing ones, converting nouns into verbs, and combining familiar elements in novel ways. His influence was magnified by the cultural prestige of his works, which were widely read and performed for centuries. Not every writer has such power to shape vocabulary, but Shakespeare's example shows how individual creativity can permanently enrich a language. Words that once seemed strange became, through repeated use, simply part of English. The internet has accelerated language change, introducing new words and phrases at an unprecedented rate. The digital age has transformed how language changes and spreads across populations. New words and expressions can go viral within days, reaching millions of speakers before traditional dictionaries have time to notice them. Social media platforms become laboratories for linguistic innovation, where creative spellings, abbreviations, and expressions emerge and evolve rapidly. Old words take on new meanings in online contexts, and emoji have become a global system of pictographic communication. The speed of change has accelerated dramatically compared to earlier eras. What once took generations can now happen in months or years. Linguists observe these changes in real time, watching language evolve at a pace never before recorded. The internet has become the most powerful engine of linguistic innovation in human history. Portmanteau words blend two existing words into one, like brunch, smog, and podcast. When speakers want a word for something new, they often combine pieces of existing words to create portmanteaus. Breakfast plus lunch became brunch, smoke plus fog became smog, camera plus recorder gave us camcorder. These blended words pack meaning efficiently, capturing concepts that would otherwise require phrases or longer descriptions. The internet age has produced many new portmanteaus: blog from weblog, emoji from emotion and kanji, and podcast from iPod and broadcast. Some portmanteaus remain playful coinages that fade quickly. Others become permanent additions to the language. The process reflects how creative and adaptive language is, responding to new needs by recombining familiar elements. Each successful portmanteau demonstrates the flexibility of human linguistic invention, turning two words into something new and useful. Every word now considered standard was once a new invention that had to earn acceptance. Language purists sometimes object to new words as corruptions of proper speech, but every single word in the language was new at some point in our history. Words that now seem ancient and dignified were once innovations that older speakers found strange or objectionable. The word interview was criticized as an unnecessary French import when it first appeared in English. Nice originally meant foolish, and silly once meant blessed or innocent. Over time, repeated use and changing cultural contexts transform how words are perceived and what they mean. What begins as slang may become formal. What starts as jargon may become everyday vocabulary. The constant renewal of vocabulary is not a sign of linguistic decline, but of a living, adapting language. Change is the natural and healthy state of all living languages across the world today. And as you rest with these thoughts about the ever-changing nature of language, feel free to let them dissolve into the quietness around you. Your breathing is soft, your body is still, and the words are fading into peaceful silence. This is science for sleep, carrying you gently toward rest. And from the invention of new words, we turn now to the future of language, where technology and humanity meet. Machine translation has improved dramatically, though it still struggles with idiom, context, and nuance. Machine translation has made remarkable strides over the past 2 decades, enabled by neural networks that learn statistical patterns from vast translated texts. Modern systems can translate between hundreds of language pairs at speeds no human could match. Yet these systems frequently stumble when encountering idioms, metaphors, and culturally specific expressions. A phrase like "it is raining cats and dogs" might be translated literally into another language, creating confusion rather than communication. Machines also struggle with context, sometimes unable to determine which meaning of a word applies in a particular sentence. Sarcasm, irony, and understatement often pass undetected. The gap between translating words and truly understanding meaning remains substantial. Human translators bring cultural knowledge and interpretive skill that algorithms have yet to match fully. Large language models can now generate human-like text, raising profound questions about the nature of understanding. Large language models can now produce text that flows naturally, follows grammar rules, and even exhibits apparent creativity in storytelling and explanation. These systems predict the most likely next word based on patterns learned from billions of sentences written by humans. Yet whether this constitutes understanding remains deeply controversial. The models have no experiences, no physical bodies, and no genuine comprehension of what their words mean. They manipulate symbols without grasping their significance. Philosophers call this the grounding problem, the question of how symbols connect to real-world meaning. Some argue that sufficiently complex pattern matching might be functionally equivalent to understanding. Others insist that true language comprehension requires something more than statistical prediction. Predictive text and autocorrect are subtly shaping how people write and communicate every day. Every time your phone suggests the next word you might want to type, it is quietly influencing your language choices. Predictive text algorithms learn from billions of messages, promoting common phrases and conventional expressions. Words that appear frequently in the training data get suggested more often, potentially homogenizing language across users. Autocorrect sometimes changes unusual words or spellings back to standard forms, discouraging linguistic creativity and variation. These tools shape not only what we write, but potentially how we think about writing. The convenience is undeniable. Communication becomes faster and more efficient, but there may be subtle costs to spontaneity and individual expression. Technology designed to help us communicate more easily may also be gently standardizing how we express ourselves. Some researchers believe that true artificial understanding of language may require embodied experience. Some artificial intelligence researchers argue that language understanding cannot emerge from text analysis alone. They suggest true comprehension requires a body that interacts with the physical world, learning through experience what words refer to. A system that has never felt cold or tasted an apple may process these words without truly understanding them. This embodied cognition hypothesis suggests that meaning is grounded in sensory and motor experience. Without a body to experience the world, language remains an abstract symbol game disconnected from reality. Other researchers disagree, arguing that complex enough systems might develop internal representations that functionally resemble understanding. The debate touches on fundamental questions about the nature of mind and meaning. Whether machines will ever truly understand language depends on answers we do not yet have. Despite technological advances, no machine has passed a truly rigorous Turing test for language understanding. Alan Turing proposed a test in 1950. If a machine could converse convincingly enough that humans could not tell whether they were speaking to a human or computer, it might be considered intelligent. Despite decades of progress, no machine has passed a truly rigorous version of this test with expert judges over sustained conversation. Early programs fooled people briefly through tricks and deflection rather than genuine understanding. Modern systems are far more sophisticated, yet still reveal themselves through subtle failures in reasoning and common sense. They might produce grammatically perfect responses while missing obvious implications. They can be caught in logical contradictions that humans would instantly recognize. Whether the Turing test actually measures understanding or merely measures the ability to simulate it remains itself a philosophical puzzle. And as we consider the tools that may shape the future of communication, we return one final time to the essence of speech, the breath that gives it life. Every spoken word begins with an exhalation, a gift of breath given to communication. Before any word can be spoken, the lungs must push air gently upward through the trachea and across the delicate vocal folds. This stream of breath is the raw material from which all speech is carefully sculpted. The diaphragm and intercostal muscles control the pressure and flow, allowing us to speak loudly or softly, to sustain long phrases or deliver short bursts. Without breath, there is no voice. This intimate connection between breathing and speaking means that our emotional state directly affects our speech. Fear quickens the breath, shortening our sentences and thinning our voice. Calm, deep breathing produces richer, more resonant tones. Singers and actors train to control their breath with precision. Every conversation is thus a continuous gift of exhalations transformed into meaning through the intricate architecture of the human voice. The average person speaks around 16,000 words per day, each one shaped by unique anatomy and experience. Research suggests that the average adult speaks approximately 16,000 words per day, though this varies widely between individuals and contexts. Each of these thousands of words passes through a vocal tract shaped by unique anatomy. The precise length of your vocal folds, the shape of your oral cavity, and the positioning of your tongue create a voice unlike any other. Beyond anatomy, every word carries traces of your personal history. The accent you absorbed in childhood, the vocabulary you learned from books and conversations, the expressions you adopted from friends and family are all present. No two people speak exactly alike, even when saying the same words. Your voice is as distinctive as your fingerprint, shaped by genetics, experience, and countless unconscious choices made over a lifetime of speaking. Silence is as important to language as sound, giving meaning through pauses and spaces between words. The gentle spaces between words carry meaning just as surely as the sounds themselves. A well-timed pause can signal hesitation, create suspense, or indicate that the speaker is carefully choosing their next words. Silence after a question invites response. A pause before answering can suggest thoughtfulness and quiet reluctance. Teachers use silence to give students time to think deeply. Comedians use it to set up punchlines and build anticipation. In conversation, comfortable silences indicate intimacy, while awkward silences signal social distance or discomfort. The rhythm of speech, when we speak and when we stay silent, conveys information beyond the literal meaning of words. To master language is to master not only sound, but also the powerful and ancient art of the meaningful pause. Silence, in its own way, speaks volumes. The oldest words in any language tend to be those for the most basic human experiences: mother, water, fire. Linguists have identified a set of ancient words that appear to resist replacement across vast spans of time. These ultra-conserved words tend to name the most fundamental human experiences: words for family relations like mother and father, words for essential elements like water and fire, basic numbers like 1 and 2. Studies comparing languages show remarkable similarities in these core terms, even across language families separated for thousands of years. The word for water, for instance, shows traces of common ancestry across multiple language groups. These ancient words have been passed from parent to child for countless generations, changing so slowly that echoes of our earliest speech may still be heard in them today. The vocabulary of survival persists through the millennia, while newer words come and go. Language is the invisible thread that weaves human societies together across time and distance. Without language, human society as we know it could not exist. Language allows us to coordinate labor, to plan for the future, to pass knowledge across generations. It enables law and commerce, science and art, love and philosophy. Through language, ideas can travel from one mind to another, crossing distances of space and time. A thought recorded in writing 2,000 years ago can reach a reader today, transcending the death of its author. Language connects the living to the dead, the present to the past and future. It is both the product of human society and the foundation upon which society is built. Through every word we speak, we participate in an ancient tradition. As you drift towards sleep, consider that this invisible thread of language has woven together every human community that has ever existed on this earth. And now the quiet wonders of human speech begin to gently fade into the stillness of the night. We have journeyed from the first sounds uttered by our ancestors around ancient fires, through the intricate architecture of the brain that gives voice to thought. We have traced the melodies of tonal languages across mountain valleys, watched writing emerge from clay tablets to illuminate civilization, and witnessed the fragile beauty of languages slipping toward silence. From the hands of signers to the calls of distant creatures, from the babble of infants to the inventions of poets, we have explored how breath becomes meaning, and meaning becomes connection. This has been a journey through the very essence of what makes us human. If these sounds and stories have brought you peace tonight, consider joining our community of curious minds by subscribing. There are more wonders waiting in the nights to come, more quiet journeys through the mysteries that surround us. Share these facts to fall asleep to with someone who needs a calm night, and know that together, we are exploring the universe one whispered truth at a time. Right now, as you listen, your own voice rests in silence within you. The same anatomy that once shaped the first human words is present in your throat, your tongue, your lips. Every language you have ever spoken, every word you have ever whispered, lives somewhere in the networks of your brain. You are part of this ancient story of speech, connected across generations to every voice that came before. Let your eyes close now if they have not already. Feel the weight of your body pressing softly into rest. Let your jaw loosen, your tongue settle, and your throat relax. The voice within you can be quiet now. Let your breathing become slow and deep, like the patient rhythm of words spoken across millennia. There is nothing more to say tonight. Your body knows how to rest, and the words will wait for you. Tonight, as you rest, the languages of the world continue their quiet work. In nurseries, infants are babbling their first sounds. In villages, elders are passing down words that have survived for generations. In laboratories, scholars are studying the patterns that connect all human speech. Somewhere, a child is learning to sign, and somewhere else, a poet is searching for the perfect word. You are a small, warm presence within this vast world of voices, peacefully resting among the sounds of human connection. Asleep well, sweet dreams. And may you carry with you the quiet knowledge that every word you speak is a gift shaped by millions of years of evolution, a breath made meaningful by the long human journey from silence to song. This has been Drowsy Discovery. Good night.